Hello, salam. This has been a long time coming. A lot of thinking, preparation, research, talking to people, setting things up, all not in a good way because I'm such a firm believer in bias for action and doing instead of pondering and thinking. I love quotes, and it'll be a common theme that I'll share some of my favorite quotes with you throughout this introductory episode and beyond. Few great quotes that I love about just that, about doing instead of thinking, and of course, action creates speed. Dick Taylor says, speed is the greatest weapon in the race against time. Joe Sampson has a equally as good quote on this, and he says, speed is a fascinating thing. The faster you go, the more time slows down. Despite that, we're here, and I appreciate that you're here with me. And I want to formally welcome you and introduce you to Persian Odyssey. You probably have a lot of questions at this stage. Why am I doing this? What does Persian Odyssey even mean? Who am I? All of those are genuine questions, and I'll be addressing them throughout this introductory episode. Where I do want to start is with the word Odyssey and what it actually means and why I chose it as a title. Just like any other word, depending on the dictionary that you look at, it has a slightly different translation. But the one that really stuck out to me was the translation from the Merriam-Webster dictionary that translates Odyssey as this: a long wandering or voyage usually marked by many changes of fortune. And in so many ways, that represents life itself. You and I go through an intellectual, a physical, an emotional, and a spiritual journey, a journey of self-discovery in many ways throughout our lives. And we are shaped by the environment, by the things we hear, by the people around us as we continue to live our lives. And that is the essence of the word Odyssey and why it suits this platform so much. The word Odyssey comes from a Greek legend, a Greek soldier by the name of Odysseus. And Odysseus spends 20 years traveling home from the Trojan War. And in that 20 years, he learns so much, not just about himself, but also about the world that he lives in. The word Persian in Persian Odyssey obviously refers to Iranians or Persians. If you know of Iranians or Persians, you know that they are some of the smartest, some of the most welcoming, some of the warmest, some of the most beautiful and handsome people that you'll meet. And they're extremely welcoming, warm, some fantastic food. The culture is so rich. Whether it's in art or poetry. I mean, just like any other culture, it's not perfect, but my point is that it's entirely different to what the media shows and how the media represents us Persians and Iranians as a culture. And a lot of people don't know that Iran has only been an Islamic republic for 70 years. That prior to that, it was a very open and progressive country, and it was a dynasty. At the time, the king was a very smart man. Muhammad Reza Pahlavi was his name. He was labeled as the Shah and Shah. And to translate that in English, it means the King of Kings. He studied in Switzerland and France, loved the French culture. In fact, his lifelong best friend is a French man, and what made him amazing was that he took the throne at the age of 22, which is very young, but he had the right ideas to reinvest into his people of Iran. He revolutionized the oil industry. He put in a lot of social reforms in the country. He
attracted foreign direct investment, and he made Iran an amazing growing economy that was giving back to its people. In fact, what he did was so amazing that at the time, Iranian economy grew exponentially, and it was one of the fastest economies in the world. In fact, at the end of the 60s to the early 70s, Iran's economy grew faster than the UK's economy, faster than the French economy, and faster than the US economy. Unfortunately, his reign comes to an end in a very unfortunate way, and the set of circumstances were extremely complex.
What people don't know is that Persia was one of the most advanced civilizations in the world. The media doesn't show or talk about the fact that Persia was the center of the world for over a millennium. That the Persians perfected many things that we do to this day, like the postal service or a system of a functioning government. What's amazing about all of that is we live in such a woke culture today, but people don't know that Persians were one of the first or the first humans to write human rights, where Darius the Great understood the importance of letting local tribes exercise their traditions, their religions, and that it only would contribute to the greater Persian Empire. The evidence to everything I say is out there to be found to this day, whether written by famous philosophers or historians, or physical examples in museums. And I really encourage you that if it is something that you're interested in, if you're not Iranian watching this, please do and read up on the amazing civilization that Persia was. But what's above all sad is that modern day Iranians feel like they have to leave their homeland to realize their full potential. And often they come into different countries, Western countries, work in silos without any system of support, and they have to integrate themselves and their families into a whole new society with new cultures, with new religions and new norms. And this is something that happens not just to Iranians, but to migrants in general. And Persians do that fantastically well. I personally know of a lot of Persians who've come to Europe or the UK or really anywhere in the world and have done fantastically well. And if you're not Iranian or Persian and you aren't sure what I'm talking about, and you're asking to yourself, maybe why would people leave their country? Why would they feel like they have to leave their country to realize their full potential? Why can't they stay? And aren't opportunities the same there? I mean, if you are not Iranian and you're watching this, I would firstly really encourage you to find some Iranian friends because of the food, because it's fantastic. Once you go Persian, there's no other version. I think that's definitely true when it comes to Iranian food. But above all, they'll be able to really tell you as to the reasons why. But I'm going to answer that question in a way of a poem. So I was reading this poem. The poem is titled Home by Warsan Shire. And I think the two first lines of the poem explains that very well, somewhat in an indirect way. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. Put those two words together and you have Persian Odyssey. And essentially this platform, or one of the reasons I'm making this platform, is for it to become an information sharing platform made by Persians for Persians. And the type of information is raw information, which I'll explain a little bit more. Another reason why I'm making this platform is because the traditional media and traditional news stations are failing us. I'll explain that a little bit further. People are becoming smarter, and people are, like yourself and I, are understanding that traditional TV stations, news outlets, radio stations are owned by a very select few of people. That select few people have certain agendas to push. Therefore, the information that you and I are getting is filtered, is diluted, and it's not the raw information that you and I deserve to make decisions and to make judgments on certain topics. And this is happening in real time. If you look at the US, the trust, engagement, and confidence of people in the traditional news outlets and TV stations is at an all-time low, because people are starting to realize this and wake up to this. We're getting news or information that's filtered, just like the way your milk is delivered from the moment it leaves the cow to the time it makes it to your table. It goes through a process. It's pasteurized, there's water added, there's sugar additives added, and traditional media is being delivered in the same way, and we're moving away from raw information that you and I can use to better our lives. And another element of that is we're moving away from news entirely. A lot of things are becoming entertainment based, and that is dangerous in its own way. You look at a lot of news stations reporting things that are not really important and aren't going to make a difference in our lives, but also you see the development of things like TikTok, shorts, or reels, which have their own danger. Let's take TikTok, for example. TikTok, obviously, massive rise in the last 5 to 10 years, but scientific research is showing that TikTok is extremely dangerous for not just only adolescents, but anyone who engages in it or uses it regularly. The dangers are in that it extremely shortens your attention span. When your attention span is shortened to such degree, how can you ever digest complex topics? How can you ever look at topics in an in-detail way to figure out how it's affecting your life, or if it's affecting your life? Or how can you ever look at a complex topic in detail to see if you adopted it, or if you worked it in your life, it might make things better. All of those are extremely dangerous things. I mean, your phone, I think Jeff Bezos used this example, is that your phone is essentially an attention shortening device.
In our pocket, a phone, and one of the things that phone does, for the most part, is it is an attention shortening device, because most of the things we do on our phone shorten our attention spans.
Which, of course, causes massive issues in you being able to focus on different things. And of course, focus being such an important thing in anything, whatever you want to do. Obviously, you need to pay attention long enough to be able to understand a complex topic, to digest it, to be able to practice it and apply it to your life and to a particular situation that you're facing. Something interesting that I read is why don't we have people like Da Vinci anymore, people like Einstein, who simply made assumptions. For example, Einstein, he made assumptions on how the world and the universe worked simply based on mathematics and simply based on observing the world. Da Vinci drew some fantastic designs, things that we use to this day. For example, like the way the wheels on a tank works was initially drawn by Da Vinci. Another fantastic example that I love is Da Vinci drew the first blueprint of an aircraft So when the Wright brothers made the first airplane, they actually used that blueprint from Da Vinci. And Da Vinci couldn't experiment. He couldn't bring all these ideas into fruition, of course, because during his time, technology was not advanced at all. And the point I'm trying to make here is, how can you ever be able to intelligently and effectively break down things, break down complex topics, if your attention span is being damaged? And my main thing here is, this is damaging our learning, something that I'm so passionate about. I have a fantastic example. If you do use TikTok or YouTube Shorts, can you remember the last 3 TikToks that you watched? No, because 97% of people can't remember the TikToks and the Reels and the Shorts that they watch. Shorts. Doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Guys, education is so important, and I think education outside of the education system is more important. And we live in such a fantastic age that we have the internet at our feet. I know I've pointed out some of the negative effects, but there are some fantastic ways to utilize the internet. People use the internet in ways to start their business, to grow their business exponentially, to reach audiences. You can also learn different things about different topics, instruments, about fashion, about cars, about everything on the internet. And we really need to utilize that. I'll share some quotes with you on that. Malcolm X says, "Education is the passport to the future, for the future belongs to those who invest in it today." Alex Hormozi, who's a fantastic entrepreneur, whose father is actually Iranian, and if you are an entrepreneur or you have interest in entrepreneurship, I really encourage you to check out his platform. He says, "Knowledge and action are the only 2 things you need to achieve everything you desire." We talked about Leonardo da Vinci. He says this about learning. "Learning is the only thing the mind never exhausts, never fears, and never regrets." The question you're asking now is, how will Persian Odyssey deliver raw information? Well, the main structure of Persian Odyssey will be an interview-based podcast platform. And we have some fantastic ideas for the future, but we want to perfect one thing at a time. And we have some fantastic individuals already lined up from different backgrounds with expertise in different topics to teach you and I a thing or two. And we'll aim to have all sorts of people on, people that have spent a lifetime in a certain field and are an expert in that field, have built a strong expertise, but also people that are going through a fantastic journey or have gone through a journey that you and I can learn from. We always have something to learn from one another. And something that you can't forget is that life is so multifaceted. And you have to continuously learn to be the best version of yourself. The Japanese have a word for this. It's called Kaizen, directly translated as continuous improvement. There are core elements to life, like your health, like your relationships, like your social standing, like your financial standing. And there are less important topics like fashion, cars, cryptocurrency, business. And we have to obviously become as best as we can in the core elements, and then choose what lanes we go down, and then of course continue to learn in those elements too, to further our career and to better our lives, not just for ourselves but also for our loved ones. And that's really the meaning of life to me, is becoming the best version of yourselves. And this is one of the reasons why I started this, why I've wanted for years to start a platform like this, to reach out to more people, more Iranians that can help me understand why I am the way I am, or teach me about a new industry or a new topic. And I really thought it would be a fantastic idea to share it with you, with whoever would like to follow us and watch it, and this might improve you as well and benefit you as well. And of course, my role as your host, I will do my best to try and extract the type of information that you and I can use, that we can apply to our life to help us evolve and to make us better humans and better Persians. And of course, knowledge without action is nothing, right? Pludius, who is a famous philosopher, says this: knowledge, if it does not determine action, is dead to us. Some of you may want to know who I am. I'll try not to bore you too much. Of course, my passion for learning about everything and anything, I think, is evident by now. But outside of that, I have a lot of passions. I love my career. I love my family. I love my cars. I love food. Big fan of music. Big fan of fashion. And I think that's given me a new perspective on life and how we could really support each other and learn from each other. On the professional side, I studied to become a pilot. It's everything that I've wanted to do since I was small. And I did that in college, studied aviation management with pilot studies. But as soon as I had a chance to become a pilot, I realized that perhaps the bigger goals that I had in life were not achievable with that path, mainly for two reasons. Firstly, obviously, creativity. There is almost no creativity that you can exercise in the life of a pilot. You have a set of manuals, a set of instructions to carry out throughout flight, and that's it. And also, of course, the learning that I wanted to do, and my passion for learning, and obviously my personal goals, where I wanted to be in life, the places I wanted to be, the people that I wanted to interact with, were not achievable through that path. So 3 degrees and a 7-year career later finds me that I'm still in aerospace. I absolutely love aerospace. I think it's obviously one of the main contributors directly to world trade, but I also find it fascinating. There's a lot of areas of aerospace people aren't really aware of. Currently, I work for a manufacturer that develops systems for aircraft OEMs, so aircraft manufacturers like Airbus, Boeing, Embraer, and I'm responsible for a business unit that outputs over $50 million a year. I'm responsible for the income statement of that business unit and all the functions that falls within a business. And it's a job that I absolutely love. It's high pressure, high responsibility, but really I'm a type of person that thrives under pressure, and it's a steep learning curve, which keeps me on my toes, as no 2 days are the same. And really at this point in my life, I can't imagine doing anything else. And of course, I'll be continuing to work my best at that and trying to improve at that alongside creating this platform. But I always think to myself, I could be doing more. I could be learning more about different things, learning about how the world works, learning about myself. Why am I the way I am? And I know for a fact that Iranians out there, Persians out there have the same feeling. And I think we can learn greatly from one another in a vast array of different topics. And that's really what I want to achieve here with Persian Odyssey. And we have some fantastic people lined up from all types of backgrounds in life, all types of industries and expertise. And I'm so excited to share those with you. I'm so excited to talk to more people and obviously bring that to you, Iranian Aziz, and you and I can both learn together and grow together. So the first episode, the first podcast will be up with this introductory episode. So do go watch it, share with your feedback with us, something that we value massively. And let us know if you have something amazing to share or someone you know of. Get in touch with us through one of the Persian Odyssey social media platforms, and we'll do all the work. My team and I will fly out to you. We'll set up, and obviously all we ask for is your precious time. And we'll get analytical, we'll get controversial, we'll get deep into different various topics. So I mean, the opportunities that we have in terms of the people we can bring on and the questions we can ask are endless. So please do let us know your requests and who you want to see. Like I say, the end goal here will be to get information or have information that we can apply to our lives to evolve. The quote that always comes to my mind anytime that I feel like I've achieved something or I need to slow down is Liz Brown says, "Perfection does not exist. You can always do better and you can always grow." And that keeps me going. And I always think to myself, if I learned something today that I didn't know yesterday, I see that as an achievement. And that's really comes from Abraham Lincoln's quote, who says, "I do not think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday." So if you take one thing away from this video, it's really that growth mindset that I encourage on everybody to seek education, and not just education, but to seek how you can apply it to your life. Thank you very much for being with me this last while throughout this introductory episode. I have a fantastic feeling that this is going to be the start of an amazing journey, an amazing odyssey with Persian Odyssey. So I hope that you follow along. I hope that you share. Of course, the bigger the audience, the more consistent we can be with the episodes, and the higher caliber people we can have on the show to share more information with us and to speak to those people and to pick their brain. I will be doing this regardless, so we hope that you follow along. I'll finish with these words from Aristotle. Through discipline comes freedom. It's been an absolute pleasure. Until next time. Quick note to say that I recognize that this episode and probably the first few podcasts will not be perfect. I mean, I'm looking at this, editing it, and there's a lot of me pausing. There's a lot of me looking into space, thinking about what I'm going to say next. And the one that gets on my nerves the most is me touching the mic. So trust that I will get better at this. It's just part of the learning process of me trying to do this thing that's very new to me. Looking at the mic, being coherent, remembering the quotes and the topics and the sequence that I plan to say them in. Looking at the video now, there's a lot of things I'm like, I wish you should have said this. I wish I should have said that. I'm focused on getting this out so I can start getting the podcasts out. But the one thing that I did miss to say that I want to highlight is that I won't be just touching on life topics. The one topic I do want to dig deep on is Persian culture and Persian history and everything that makes it fantastic. Whether it's the traditions, whether it's the food, whether it's cinema, art, poetry, whether it's the trials and tribulations that the Persian Empire went through over time, and everything else. And one thing I know for a fact is young Iranians, me included, are passionate and they're keen and they're extremely curious. They want to know about all of those topics about Persia and what makes us who we are. But I also know that there is the older generation who are as passionate and as keen and as excited to share it. So it's going to be my pleasure and my aim to connect those two groups and learn in the process. So I'm really looking forward to that. The quality will come as we shoot more episodes and as the audience grows. So that is why it's so important for you to share it with your mom, your dad, sister, brother, cousin, dog. And as we grow the audience, the quality will become better, the consistency will become better, and the more and more fantastic Iranians we can have on the podcast. Thank you again for watching, for listening, and wherever you are in the world, I wish you the best. God bless.